autonomous systems, we're thinking of taking some physical object, like say a car or a drone, like this one, or a robot, and we want it to be able to act in its environment in a way that makes sense and that is useful for some higher kind of level task or objective. So just to make that very concrete, think of something like autonomous rideshare. All of those cars are autonomous agents in the environment, and we want to be able to control those agents to do something that makes sense, that's useful. For example, in the autonomous rideshare case, you want those vehicles to coordinate with each other to be able to pick up the largest number of passengers, perhaps reduce the amount of wait time that across a city. So in this way, we can even think of autonomous systems possibly redefining urban mobility in a city. Or we could be thinking of a drone. In that case, an autonomous drone might help with search and rescue, might be working along with emergency responders to deploy over an environment and be able to provide information to the human search and rescue responders. And they can arrive at these locations quicker than humans can, and they can provide that information back. Or these robots, the same drones say, could be deployed at sea with marine biologists that are trying to study whales in their natural habitat. And these drones can coordinate to be in the right place at the right time to be able to capture video data of the whales when they're interacting at the surface. But really, our work is not necessarily like, we don't need to tie to a specific application area. So the rideshare and the work that we do for Project SETI for routing robots to observe whales at sea, they're actually very related to each other. They seem completely different, but the algorithms at the decision-making level are very much the same. You're trying to route a robot to an area of interest that can be appearing randomly. You can't predict ahead of time when the whale is going to surface or when somebody is going to request a pickup from an autonomous vehicle. Yet, you need the algorithm to be making the decision of how to deploy and where to deploy your robots to be in the right place at the right time. In our group, we think a lot about what are the barriers to getting these systems to reach that potential in the real world. And the barrier that we focus on a lot is the question of uncertainty. So as you put these systems out into the real world, there's a high degree of uncertainty, meaning there could be elements of the environment that are just simply unknown. But you still need to make decisions. In the rideshare case, you might not know where requests are going to be coming up next. You might not know where people are aggregating, and then you have to deploy and coordinate your autonomous agents such that they are in the right place at the right time. Or it could be that the data, either the data that's being sensed directly by the agent or communicated to it by another agent or through the network, is not trustworthy. And so that's also a degree of uncertainty. In all of these cases, you still need the agent, the autonomous agent, to be able to make the right decisions and behave in the environment in a way that will be helpful, useful. So just the way that internet systems can be hacked, so can robotic systems. These are just basically networked internet agents that can physically interact in the real world. But we also have to be responsible, and we have to understand what the vulnerabilities of these systems are. Because if you have an internet system and the data gets poisoned or there's hacking, definitely we've already seen that negative consequences can come about. But if those systems are now physical and they're acting, then the bar is higher in terms of making sure that the data has good integrity and that the decision-making algorithms have vulnerabilities that we know, that are characterized, and that we can mitigate as best as possible. So even in the worst case scenario, the systems are going to still do the right thing. They're still going to be able to understand that this has happened and not use that data. So we need to know what are the limitations of these systems? How do they break? And how can we make sure that they break gracefully? I think that there's a lot of possibility for these systems. I could imagine a world where these systems could be our counterparts. They could help us get around the city in ways that are different and new in terms of urban mobility, in ways that are more efficient, that are safer for everybody. And I'm talking from everything from delivery drones to marine transportation with autonomous boats to trucks that can go across the country. So there's a lot of different levels of automating the supply chain, of robots that can work with humans in the household, for example, or work with human emergency responders and be able to kind of really be our partners in certain things, because they can explore parts of the environment that are harder for us to get to. For example, the deep sea, out in the open sea, or in outer space. So using robots to help us explore other worlds that are difficult to reach ourselves. So I think there's a lot that we might be able to do. And with the AI and ML tools, just having robots be able to understand the data that we generate as humans, also understand that the data that they generate as they sense their own environment, and be able to make better inferences from that data. I think that would be very powerful.